Welcome to Any Given Monday. Today we have Kirsten Franklin. If you'd like to be a show sponsor, please reach out to us at info@n18. And now let's get started. So here we have Kirsten. Hi, Kirsten. How are you?
Good. How you doing, LJ?
I am excited to have you. I am great. It's a Monday and it's all about starting off with intention, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So everyone, I am not going to belabor us. I will have Kirsten do her own introduction and tell us how we got here today.
Yeah, so my name is Kirsten Franklin, and I am, as it says down there, the CEO of CS Thrive, which is a coaching company. We work with high-level CEOs, small business owners, startup founders, professional athletes, hedge fund managers, a whole gamut of individuals, but most of all, people in leadership positions. Yeah.
No, I want to. So one of the things that we talked about was the importance of the coaching, the mindset piece, and that was very powerful in our initial conversation, and really talking about just transforming individuals' mindset around productivity, around the work they're doing. So tell us more about that work that you're doing as well.
Yeah. So, I mean, for me, after having been through everything that one can imagine, although I'm sure there's a lot more out there, I've come to the understanding with all the studying, with all the work that I've done, that really at the core, your mindset is the number one thing. If you can master and manage your thought process, you can really attain anything that you want. And, it could be as small as figuring out how to have regular exercise in your day to as big as building a multi-billion-dollar company, right? So it's really the thought process. And I think it's something that people mistake quite often because, we hear, oh, your subconscious controls everything. Oh, right. And everyone's like, yeah, I know. Right. And it's something that we hear just so much that maybe on some intellectual level we get it. But once you really get it, once you play with it and understand it, it's fun, it's amazing, and you are never in that position again, whatever that position is, freaking about money, freaking about whether you got in somewhere, freaking about, this and that. It's just a completely different game and makes life totally fun. I can't explain it.
So wait, let's take a step back. How did you even start on this journey? Tell us about where you started your career and how you came to this realization that this is a business, it's a model, and people need help.
Yeah, I mean, like many journeys, it starts with yourself, especially in companies, right? When you look at the founders of a whole bunch of startups, it starts with themselves, right? And so I started my career as a lawyer. I actually graduated in 2001, and my first job was on Wall Street. And within a month and a half of starting, September 11th happened, and we were all, locked out of our offices, and craziness abound. I ended up relocating, within a year of that. And I was down in Miami. And I just realized I don't like the law. I love the law. Let me rephrase that. I didn't like the legal environment in which I was placed. And so, I'm definitely somebody who wakes up happy, likes to have cordial communication with people, regardless of whether or not you're on the opposite side of the table from me. And that just wasn't what I was living. And within 7 years of practicing, I was pretty much done. I ended up starting a title company. So if anybody understands real estate, you have to clear title before you can purchase the property. And so I had a title company, and that was my sort of first foray into owning my own business. And I thought I was super cool because it was just so simple, and it was just an environment where it was so fast growing at the time. So if you remember 2005, 2006, 2007, right before the bubble burst, so to speak, you couldn't fail. But I didn't know that as a business owner. I just thought I was so good. Oh my God, I'm so great at this. This is so easy. What are people talking about? Yeah. And then the market crashed, right? And for us, it crashed at the end of 2007. All of a sudden, nothing was closing. And if you understand title, we pay to pull title and then pay our employees to go through it and clear title before you can close, but nothing was closing. So we're out of pocket. We advance that money and we reap it back at closing. So we were out of pocket. I was at that time in 3 states. So we were out of pocket a lot of money very quickly. And in 2008, I found out I was pregnant. And, so my company crashed, in all 3 states. Nothing was closing, obviously. And I find out I'm pregnant, I'm gonna have a child, and totally single parent, like intentionally, it's totally fine. Like I was intentionally gonna be a single parent. And there I am sitting there, like wondering, what am I gonna do next? And next thing you know, I'm getting sued. So it was just a complete disaster, like this perfect storm. So I actually ended up becoming homeless with my infant child by 2009. Um, and it was that journey to come back from that position where I leveraged a bunch of stuff. So like I had always followed Tony Robbins. Like even when he was like, when I was in high school and I was a cheerleader, I totally followed him. Like, very into, positive psychology, very into psychology in and of itself, very interested in behavioral sciences, neuroscience. And so all that sort of culminated as I was trying to pick myself up off the ground. Because again, that was another pivotal point where things are intellectually in your head, about them, but you don't actually practice them. So that was really me starting to institute some of these practices to pull myself out of a hole. And with that, and then ultimately starting my next business, which is a legal recruiting company, which still runs today. I really just sort of understood how those practices operate. And then they just bled into the work that I did with law partners. I've had law partners that were making moves that weren't even my clients that would come to me for advice. I had them come to me for advice about their family life, or them turn around and say, "Oh my God, my teenage kid likes me again. What was that? Like you had said this thing and I tried it and it worked." And I was just a conversation. And I think from that, I realized, like, wait a second, like there is actually a business in this, and it's a much happier business to go around helping people and yourself. Like it's a mutual give and take. I learn from them as they learn from me. So that's kind of where it went. And then since then, multiple other companies and lots of fun.
So there's so many gems there. First, the story of perseverance and picking yourself up and starting over. And a lot of business owners, maybe when they first start, they think that it's a failure and they may not keep going. So talk to us about like what is, and then you've created multiple businesses after that. So you didn't let fear or even a real situation stop you. Tell us about that.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a number one sort of mental block for people is fear. And it comes from a lot of different places, right? Fear of looking stupid, fear you don't know enough, fear you're going to run out of resources, fear it's not perfect enough, right? And if you really go into the mindset of that, which I do with my clients to break it down, because for me, it's about awareness first. First, you have to be aware of it, right? And not just the fact that you're afraid. Like a lot of people are aware, like, oh, I have a fear I might fail, and that's why I'm holding back. It's deeper than that. It has so much more to do with you and how your mind is working than it does with just the simple sort of top layer of fear, right? That's sort of like the whipped cream on top that everyone sees, but underneath is the whole, banana split, I guess. I mean, I don't know, really bad analogy, but whatever, you get it. And that's where the good stuff is, because once you hit that good stuff, a lot of times when you're deeply aware of what's actually creating it, many times it just goes away. But there's also techniques we can use rooted in neurolinguistic programming, positive psychology, so many different things that we could use that can eliminate that block for you so that you can move forward, right? And it's so holistic. It's not just the thought process, it's the habit that the thought process developed that you also have to break. Like if you drink coffee every morning and all of a sudden you decide, I'm not going to drink coffee anymore. Well, it's a habit to break. It's not just a chemical addiction, right? It's also the motion of what is it giving you in the morning? It's this relaxing thing. It's giving you comfort. It's giving you security. It's giving you familiarity. It's giving you the energetic kick. It's giving you the mental kick, right? Because we all know that it's a psychotropic drug, so there's so many things that go into it, and it's so much bigger than that. So there is a lot of stuff that goes in on that, but your mindset really controls your outcomes. And when you deeply, deeply understand that, like deeply, and you mess with it and play with it and learn how it really works, then it becomes so much more fun. Life becomes so much more easy, simple. I don't know how to put it. It's just a lot better.
So wait, let's take a step like into the mind of a new business owner or an existing business owner. How can they start to prepare, I guess, for setbacks or even adjust their mindset so that they can be more resilient in the case of like adversity? Like, where should they start?
Yeah, I mean, I think the first thing is to be aware of what your reactions are. So I'll do something right now with everybody who's watching or listening. It's something I call it no negative week, but it's actually no negative life. I still do it to this day. But what you can do is just sort of become aware when you have a reaction. So when you feel like what I'll call negative, I don't really like to classify like emotions, but say it's negative, right? Or it's not going to bring you to your happy end result. A negative thought, emotion, or feeling, become aware of it. Become aware of how often you're having them. So quite literally keep a calendar. Every time you have something go on, mark it down, mark the time, mark what was going on, and mark how you felt, right? And it does take, again, work, right? It could be, might consider it fun work because, oh my God, if I do this, I'm going to have breakthroughs and nothing's ever going to bother me again. Or you can consider it work like HELL, and like you're going to push through it to get to it. That's not really a beneficial thing. If we talk mindset, you can literally flip your script to actually like something that you think you don't like right now. But, just make a note of it. And one, you'll be aware of how often that you're having negative thoughts and emotions and feelings, and how much that drives your day, and why by the end of the day, you're probably tired and miserable, or tired and over it, or tired and blah, or tired and can't work anymore, right? Because you've spent your entire day in this sort of mindset that you're not even aware of. And it's just like an emotional bath, like you're in this emotional bath of blah, or miserable, or negative. And that, that has an effect on you. So becoming aware of it is number one. And then there's exercises that you can do to go deeper within that. The fastest thing to do is ask multiple levels of why. Why did you react to that? Why did you feel that? What was the initial feeling? Your knee-jerk initial reaction and feeling and where you're defining it is never the thing. But if you ask yourself why enough times, like, oh, why did that bother you? Oh, because the guy's a jerk. Well, why did you feel like he was a jerk? Like go deep into it, and you will know it when you get it, because you will literally feel it in your body. When you're like, oh my God, it has to actually do with that time when I was 5 years old and the kid kicked me in the face with a soccer ball. Like, it's the weirdest things connect. But you will know it, and then you can decide what you want to do with it, right? Keep it, change it. What are you going to do with that reaction?
So, one of the other things you mentioned, a lot of business owners reach out to you to help them transform their mindset. But how do they know when it's time to reach out to you? Like, when is it the best time to search for a coach like yourself that's really helping people thrive?
Right. So always. And I'm not saying that because I am one. I'm saying that because I myself have coaches. I'm working with 2 right now. And so, once you really get what coaching is, you're never going to engage in life without one on some level, whether or not you've created your own network of people, in this element that can be outside of yourself and hear what you're saying and sort of call you out on your shit and question you as to what you need to do next or where you're going to go next, and ask the right set of questions so that you can find the right answers for yourself. But all the time, at any level, every level, you're going to need one.
Yeah. And another thing you and I were talking about was productivity. So, like, the business owner wears all of the hats. You're doing all of the things, and we often suffer from burnout. I am the admin, I am the correspondent, I am the bookkeeper, then I also need to come up with products and deliver them and make sure people are happy and then service the clients. And the word balance doesn't exist, but I feel like there are not enough hours in the day. I'm burning the candle at both ends. Talk about how you help people move into a more, I guess, productive space.
Yeah, and this is something that's really funny. You'll hear a lot of people talk about this when they know me or work with me or know what I do and accomplish. It's a really weird thing that they're like, oh my God, you're so productive. And I learned some really basic tools in productivity that help. And I know that when people think about productivity, they think about the time management hacks first. Oh, I'm going to time block. Oh, I'm going to do this. Well, actually, that's not it. And that's what's the most shocking for people. That's not your first step. There's actually 3 basic steps. It's almost like what I do in like coaching, right? I call it the MVP method in coaching because it's about your mindset, your vibration, and everything as a process. So it's processes, right? Same thing in, productivity. We are doing 3 steps over and over again at each level, and we're just drawing it down. And when you really get them down deeply, you can use any time management trick or tip or tool and it'll work because now you understand what you're putting in there. So like say time blocking, this happens to everybody. It happens to all my clients until we do this stuff is I'm time blocking. I said, this hour I'm going to work this and this hour. First, you have to gain the focus to get to that time block and actually do the thing you think you're going to do. But you actually have to deeply know what you're doing in that time block. So many times people are like, I'm going to work on company X and I'm going to go through I'm going to email these 50 people. And, and by the time you're done, it didn't happen. Why? Because you didn't know what you're doing. You had to find the email. You had completely disorganized, right? There's a level of organization first that, may or may not be fun. But, again, mindset, twist the game, make it fun. And once you do it, everything becomes so simple. Like, you are not overwhelmed at all. In fact, I was working with one of my clients. Her name's Kenya. She owns Kaylin skin salons out in Texas, and she threw a live event, and she throws one every year. She's been in business for 5 or 6 years now. And she learned, we started working together this year, and she learned this, strategy that I use. And she can tell you herself that she was completely amazed that she actually had fun for the first time at her own event, that she wasn't freaked out. There was like zero stress going into it. There was no anxiety. She didn't feel overwhelmed. And it was all from a very simple 3-step process. But again, for me, everything's simple. It's not always easy, because in your head prevents you from doing something. So that's why I think everything is mindset first.
Yeah. And then even when you're talking about like some of the past clients and the work that you've done, being able to see their before and their after. Tell me more about like the scenarios so when we're talking to business owners, they're new business owners, or they've been in business for a while and it just are also in their own way. How do they even start to carve out the time? Like, I think one of the challenges is I don't have time for a coach. I don't have time. And literally the problem and the solution are right there in front of them. But it's almost like what is it, the rat race, and you're on the treadmill or the turbo wheel.
Yeah. I mean, look, if you don't have time, neither did I, as a single mother running a company. And I'm an old school mama. So I drop my kid off. I pick my kid up. All the friends come to my house because I need to know you and I need to see what's going on. I need to feed you. I need to understand things. So if I had time, you have time. And what you have to understand is that you have to prioritize, because what you're thinking is, it's not worth it. It takes time. But what you're not knowing is that if you take this time to slow down and speed up, and you'll hear me say that again and again, if you take the time to slow down, you can speed up exponentially. Meaning you take the time up front, the painful, oh my God, why isn't it done? This should have been done yesterday. This could have been done yesterday. We're not having any results kind of time. And you slow that down to actually write the plan and understand exactly what it's supposed to look like according to you. And then when you run it, why it doesn't look like that, it's very easy to figure out why or why not, right? People, they talk about written business plans and marketing plans, and 1000% for it. I don't think they have to be as large and convoluted as these 300-page business plans. Screw you just started up. Like, can I just get the format here? Like, what are we doing? Why are we here? What are we hoping to achieve? How do we believe we're going to achieve it? That could happen in 3 to 5 pages, right? Honestly. And as we break that down, though, it becomes bigger. But we don't have to start out with the whole 500-page plan. That's ridiculous. It's meaningless because you don't know anything yet. I mean, look, I started, I'm co-founder in a company called Salubrity. That's a startup. It's at mysalubrity.com. And like, we're facing it right now. We've basically been operational for 7 months in a studio in Pennington, New Jersey. So what we are is we're like sort of fitness and wellness professionals meets kind of My Salon Suites, kind of like Soho House, kind of like, WeWork. So we have these individual boxes that people can rent. They can live stream, record in 4K, do all this fun stuff in a box, and they can completely customize it. Not like they have to rent it like for a month, like, and have a contract. They can customize it in the push of a button, right? Now, sounds really sexy fun, but how do you take the time to make the technology work the way you want it to? We thought we had it. No one said anything to us. And then all of a sudden the other day we're getting videos. I'm like, this is crap. I'm like, who isn't complaining about this? Like, this is not the promise we made. So we had to cut everything off, right? Here we thought we were so cool. We're advancing. Yeah, we're going to look at New York real estate now. We're like, yeah, we're ready for it. We're going to call all our investors. It's going to be great. And then I get sent these videos from one of our trainers, Brian. And I'm like, Brian, this is crap. And he's like, yeah, I mean, I wasn't going to say anything. I was like, no, that's the whole point. You have to tell us.
That's right.
Like, you have to tell us what doesn't work, what's too difficult, because that's the whole purpose of this box, is for us to figure it out and to get it right. So now today at 1:00, we have this huge high-tech team coming in to figure this out, to make the sound better on the recordings and on the lives and like all this stuff. But we could have done that months ago had someone told us, right? But this is startup world. You're going to think you're so cool. You're on it. You're racing to the finish line. And then, oh, no, you're not. So
Right.
it's like slow down to speed up, lessen your expectations in the sense of the expectation that it's going to be perfect the first time. It's an SHIT show all the time. And once you get in love with that, once you understand that that has no bearing on your personal self, it doesn't make you less intelligent. It doesn't make you, not a good CEO, not a good COO, not a good startup founder, not a good small business owner. It doesn't make you anything. It makes you aware. And what do you do with your awareness? You fix it, right? You fix whatever you think you're going to fix, or you keep it if that's the thing, right? Like you might want to keep it for a little while, even though it might not be perfect, but that's a big thing. Like you guys have to get over the idea of perfection. Here's what I hate. Okay. And I love Ed Milet. I don't know if anybody follows Ed Milet, but I saw him the other morning and he had this little thing he was saying, and he was talking about how it's all kind of bullshit, right? Like all these pros and experts and all these, multimillionaires come out and like, yeah, diversify. Ed called it right there. He's like, you can't, what are you diversifying? Build the one thing. He's like, I promise you, no one saying that came out of the gate with multiple millions of diversified funds. They had to build the one company. And that took them 8 to 10 years to get to a place where they had enough cash flow to like be like, oh, I'm going to diversify, right? Unless they had, capital infusion from somewhere else. But like you have to focus on the one thing. And the one thing doesn't happen overnight. You might have success in 3 to 6 months, but you actually don't know your business well enough in 3 to 6 months. I don't care where you're coming from. I have a client, Kanisha, right now. She started a company, and at Go, basically, she's making about $20,000 to $30,000 a month. And that, in the middle of the country is a lot of money, right? And so she's happy. And I'm like, you don't know shit, girl. I'm like, we're about to have a market crash. You're going to see, you're going to have to do this. You're going to have to do that. You're going to have to sit back and ride the ride. But knowing that you can save money, which I did not do when I owned the title company, and you can plan differently. We have to get out of that sort of high school, college mindset of it'll keep coming and really kind of map out that financial plan as well. That's a big thing that I learned.
So the financial plan and the business plan, how many companies do it, check the box, and then put it on the shelf? How often do you advise people to go back and revisit it?
Oh, I'm even guilty of it. Right? I have a startup with one of my former clients, and I was like, oh, you know what? We didn't even do what we're supposed to do because we're like all in it. And then I was like, I can't believe I just did that to us. I was like, all right, stop everything. We're doing this. I know you might not understand the importance, but I do. And I'm just like, we need this done. And now we can roll, right? Now we can roll a lot faster because of it. When you don't know it, when you don't know the benefit of it yet, and you just hear it from everybody, there is a reason you hear it from all different types of experts and people that have been there. And they'll tell you that some of the, the number one things is that marketing plan. You're always marketing. So you better start getting in love with marketing and copy and, your business plan, right? Like your strategic growth plan. Like that's, you're going to want to understand all of that.
Absolutely. Wait, and there's another thing you talked about, vibration. Can you go a little bit deeper? What does that mean for a person in business, vibration?
Ooh, so this is like the energy of all things. Okay, guys, I'm going to get a little floofy here and like woo woo. But it's fact. We know that everything has a vibration. The laptop you're using, even the static things like your camera, this microphone, this piece of wood, everything has a vibration. And I'm a deep believer in that. We resonate, like a tuning fork, and we can more easily, I don't want to say that we attract or repel, but we more easily see the things that are in tune with us, in vibration with us. So, it's like, and part of that's mindset, right? So think about this. You're going out to, Starbucks in the morning, right? And you're having a really crap day, you're late for an interview or whatever you're doing. And somebody turns around and knocks coffee all down. Now you could lose your mind and flip out and, oh my God, because you don't have time for this. But if you're coming out in that same day, and regardless of the fact that you're late, you've learned how to master your mindset. Everything's fine. You're vibing high. Somebody knocks a coffee on you. You're like, that kind of sucks. All right. Like whatever. Hey, the coffee looks like a bird. Maybe I can get away with it. Right. Maybe it was intentional. Like who knows what's going to happen. Right. It's just different. And here's another thing, and this is actually like scientifically proven, you have something called a reticular activating system in your brain. And the way that the best way I can explain it is, again, I'll go back to Starbucks. Obviously, I go to Starbucks a lot. Is, it's crowded, it's music, it's noisy. You're at the order station and everybody's all noisy at the pick up your order. And across the room, say you're in real estate, across the room, somebody just says, "Oh yeah, I'm thinking about wholesaling or short selling this property." And you're like, bing, you hear it. How do you hear that from across the room? Because your brain told you it's super important. And therefore, you're going to pick up around it whenever it's around you. And same thing, like if you're looking at a new car, you're like, oh, I'm thinking about getting that, that Honda. And all of a sudden you see the Honda everywhere. And you're like, it's not new. The Honda was there. Your neighbors didn't just buy a Honda yesterday, right? Your 15 people on your block didn't just have a Honda, right? And no, it was always there. You just didn't see it. Why? Because it wasn't important to you. And you weren't vibrating at the level of, I need to understand more about Hondas. Now you're vibrating at a different level, a level of joy, a level of curiosity. And you told your brain, like, this is important to me. So all of these things in combination, again, create massive, massive shifts very quickly. And I'm sure all you guys, like in small business land, you've done this. You've gotten super excited about your business. You're like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to engage in this. And you do. And then all of a sudden this influx comes in and you freak out and you shut it all down. How often does that happen, right? So one of my clients was like, I'm gonna be a public speaker all of a sudden, like, right? And she does, and all of a sudden she gets these offers. She's on the WB, she's on stage, she's like gotten 13 million invites, and all of a sudden she's starting to shut it down. And I was like, yeah, because you're afraid, because you've never spoken before. Like, you're freaking out. And now your energy switched and you're telling the universe something else. You're like, oh, nope, can't do it, can't do it, can't do it, can't do it. That's the vibration that's going out. When you're initially excited, it was, oh my God, give it to me. And it came to you. Right. And this happens.
You're saying we have to train ourselves to keep that same vibration and not let fear dampen it.
Yep. And that's the mindset part of it. Because remember, a thought creates an emotion, which creates your vibration. Very simple, right? That creates your results. So the thought creates emotion. The emotion creates an action. If you do that thought, emotion, action consistently enough, that creates a habit, like tying your shoe. Right? Like, you've trained yourself to do something to the point where you don't even think about it. Well, that's mindset. That's your habit. That's like getting up out of the left or right side of your bed. You think you're choosing, you're not. You chose once and you kept it forever since you were like 2. It's not a real choice. And that's something simple and small that you don't think affects your day. But when you think of all the other little things, what did they say? Like almost 80% of what we think in a day is subconscious and we're not even aware of it. Something like that. It might even be higher. Guys, Google it, but like, it's a large percentage that you are unaware of. You can become aware, which is why awareness is the first step, because you have to become aware of it to understand what is it and what is the result I'm getting from it. And do I want to keep it or do I want to get rid of it? Again, simple, not always easy. Hence why we always have coaches, because we sit down and digest this stuff and then we rip your brains apart.
Right. Exactly.
Get to it,
so we only have like 2 minutes left. I want to talk about getting shit done. Can we talk about this? So we've got this training, we've got the mindset, the emotion, and now the habit. Talk about the work that you're doing to help people get things done. I say get shit done because that's the way it sounded when you first told me.
I don't know if we're allowed to swear. I swear a lot too. So I'm like, I don't know if we're allowed to swear. So get it done for those of you who aren't, happy with that word. But that's what I do. I get stuff done, right? It's why a lot of people bring me into companies a lot of times. You'll see me as an advisory board member. Why? Because what they're really trying to do is give me a percentage of their company to learn this technique. Not even kidding. But it's just several repeated steps that you do. It's practically 3 steps. Honestly, it's simple, but it's about taking the time to do it. Right now, we're actually pushing out a sale on it. So I'm going to put it in chat right there. You can go see that. What I did was I automated it. So you're not getting me as a one-on-one coach to rip through your particular mindset and understand your process, but the process is the same. My client who actually paid me $50,000 to work with me learned it from this video first. And then she was able to throw that live event. So it is effective. It does work. But check it out. Normally I would sell it for just under $1,000, but we're selling it for 50% off right now. And there is a live component aspect to it. But, this takes you through the exact steps of what you need to do, on a sort of daily, weekly basis. It's sort of at your own pace. If you go through it more than 1 video a day, you're definitely going too fast. And I would say it really is an 8-week kind of thing, because you need time to actually do the thing. And one of the things that we do first is something called a brain dump. And if you did that in an hour, if you did that in a day, I'm telling you right now, you didn't do it right. You just didn't do it right. Right. Because I'm asking you to dump everything ever in your head, over the past year, over the past 5 years, whatever that length of time is for you, not just your business, not just your life. It's sort of everything that you ever said you're going to do. And, just getting that out and getting it on paper, not typing it, but getting it on paper, there's a whole bunch of science behind it, but we go into that into the videos, but definitely something worth checking out.
Awesome. Well, any parting thoughts? Because we are at the 10:30 mark and that went by pretty quickly. But any parting thoughts or advice for people listening?
No, listen, guys, if you want to learn more, you can always hop on my Facebook group. It's CS Thrive, I believe, or Thrive Tribe Global. And you can find me on Facebook. You can find me on Instagram. You can find me here on LinkedIn. Feel free to reach out to me. But all of my free content is housed on Facebook right now. So if you want to learn more, for free, go for it.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us. And then I'm just going to thank everyone else too.
Awesome. Thanks for having me.